It's Tuesday and it's time for Falcon Focus. Welcome to this week's edition of Falcon Focus, presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin. We are back for episode number 5 here in season number 5, and this week's edition in segment number 2, our focus will be on women's volleyball, and we'll be joined by sophomore libero Abby Prayfrock. But up first, our focus is on football, and being joined by senior quarterback Michael Perkey. My name is Matt Meadow. Thanks for joining us. And for the football team, they're coming off a bye week, currently with 5 victories and 1 defeat, off to a 4-0 start in conference play. And Michael, you're coming off that victory, a homecoming win, a big one a couple of weeks back against Benedictine, 28-0. That game was scoreless after one before the Falcons were able to turn it on and really take it to Benedictine. And in your opinion, what was the difference in that win?
Well, I mean, definitely you can see the scoreboard and that we had 4 touchdowns, but also you got to see the other end and our defense holding them to 0. Um, in the years prior, it's kind of been a shootout, so it was huge for our defense to hold them to 0. But honestly, it's kind of been a whole thing this year is that we've been able to establish the run game super early, which honestly puts a lot less pressure on me because I'm not having to focus as much on the pass game and whatnot, and it lets us have, both dynamics of run and pass game. So being able to set that up super early and let both Pierre Summers and Ashar Thomas, get out early and make it a little bit easier for me to pass when we get in those situations.
And you mentioned the defense coming through with the shutout. We'll talk more about defense as we go along, too, as they've had shutouts now in 2 out of the last 3 games. But the week before that Benedictine matchup on October 7th, you guys went down to Concordia, Chicago, got involved in quite the shootout, ended up winning 57-42, the 57 points, season best. What's it like to be involved in a game like that where it just seems like the offense could do no wrong?
Well, it's definitely a lot of fun, and I think that kind of comes with the brotherhood mentality that we have as a football team. Our defense was struggling, but I went over to them, had multiple talks with different guys, and be like, "We got you. We can hold up our end of the battle, essentially." Um, and so it's lots of fun to be a part of. Going back and forth might be a little bit more stressful. But it's definitely lots of fun to be able to put a lot of points up on the board.
A game that would see the Falcons amass 476 yards of offense, over 6 yards of yardage and offense per play. I mean, that's quite the average there per snap. But overall, now through the first 6 games, we mentioned this team is 5-1, and obviously the record speaks for itself. But how about for you now, inside that locker room, on that field? How do you feel the team's playing at this point?
At this point, I definitely think we're working as one. There's been new things that we've been putting in, and it's been a lot smoother than usual. I think everyone's kind of on the same page in what we're trying to do here. And we're all, like I said, working as one. The defense is doing their thing, the offense is doing their thing, and it definitely keeps the team morale up, and just being there for each other. Someone makes a mistake, all right, we got to step up and do our job.
Going into the bye week, 4 consecutive wins for the Falcons. How did you guys approach the bye week? What was the focus in practice?
I think the focus in practice was honestly keeping focus. Obviously, it's a bye week; it's a time to get healthy, but it's also not a time to goof around. Make sure we're staying sharp. We did a little bit of preparation for the St. Norbert game, but honestly, it was kind of getting back to fundamentals, making sure that we're doing the easy stuff correct, and then that'll have a good foundation for how we're moving forward with the more advanced stuff and staying together.
How about for you? Obviously, this past Saturday, there's no football game for the Falcons. Do you watch other NAC games? Do you watch other college football games? Do you just get away from football for a change?
I definitely got away from NFL. Didn't watch the Thursday night game, but I did stay kind of in the whereabouts of NAC play. For me, I watched the Norbert game as they played Aurora. And Aurora kind of having a somewhat similar offense, it'll allow me to analyze Norbert's defense because they run a lot of similar formations. So I was watching that game, and then obviously, yeah, I was watching other college games. But trying to stay out of things physically, try to get rested up, but mentally still trying to, analyze and get ready for next week.
And judging by the ratings, you're not alone. You're not the only one that did not watch Thursday night NFL football unless you're a Swiftie. But we'll get into that as we go along. Who knows? We'll see. But talking about the way this team's playing defensively, and mentioned shutouts in 2 out of the last 3. How good can the Falcon defense be?
Well, I definitely think they still have things that they can improve on, and they will be the first to tell you that. But it's definitely nice to have the kind of defense that we have. They've had multiple turnovers in a bunch of different games, which have even included touchdowns on defense. So as I said before, it's nice to have that, not have to worry about having to score on every drive, and obviously that's the goal, but if it doesn't happen, I know the defense has our back.
And then on your side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball, the Falcons have been able to score 31-plus points already in 4 games. How in sync, how confident is this offensive group?
Well, I definitely think we're very confident. It's been a few years now since offensive coordinator Coach White's been there, and I think for the returners that have been in the offense, it's so much easier to recognize what he's trying to do and also be able to teach the young guys, because we do have a large freshman class, but also to their point, they've been doing great at learning the offense and having to step up and fill that role that we don't have many returners, and I think they've done a good job, and we've all kind of synced up together, and we're really pushing forward.
How about for you? How about your confidence level? Where is that at this point as you've gotten more and more reps and you've become the primary quarterback of this team?
I definitely think that it was kind of a preparation the past 3 years as being the backup, but I think that the offense and the coaching staff does a great job at preparing the people like me that might have to stay out for a few years. But I've definitely, that helps my confidence levels because I'm not coming in and, confused about maybe advanced stuff that I haven't done before. And that also goes to the old quarterbacks who have been teaching me as I go along, because they know that I was the future, and I'm trying to do the same for the younger quarterbacks as well.
Well, speaking of that, Roman Funk, he's a freshman that's seen some playing time as well here this season. He's potentially the future at that spot down the road. What have you seen from him this season?
I've definitely been impressed. He has, as you said, he's gotten a decent amount of playing time. I think that's something that Coach White has kind of wanted, because he is the future, and I'm not going to be one to deny that. All I want is a success for the team. So I've definitely taken pride in making sure that he sees what I sees, and even going the other direction. If he's seeing something that I'm not seeing, he'll let me know. We're both focused on the end goal for the team. So
when it comes to the quarterback position in your football life, when did you first start playing quarterback?
Man, the first year that we could start playing football, I think it was 2nd grade, so it's been, 15, 16 years, something like that. So it's been a lifelong thing, lots of training, but it's definitely fun and kind of sad at the same time that it will be coming to an end, but I'm just here to, take it all in now.
So going back to way back when you started, why did you want to be the QB?
It actually wasn't my first position that I did play. But when I first picked up that role, I think it was almost natural for me to be a leader, and that's definitely something that a quarterback has to do. And it's just fun to, it is fun to be the star. And most of the time that's what ends up happening, but also just making sure that everyone's coming together for a collective goal. And I definitely think that's something that we take pride in here at Concordia.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know we had Brooke Braga, the women's soccer goalkeeper, on this show a couple of weeks ago, and I asked her the same question, because the goalkeeper, I think, kind of fits in this same description. But as a quarterback, sometimes you can get credit for the win, but you also get blamed for the loss. How do you handle the highs and the lows that comes with that position?
Well, I definitely think it's you have to have a very short mindset, and that can go even for a win. I mean, you got a great victory, maybe say like Concordia, Chicago. It was a great victory for the offense, but that's in the past now. Now you got to focus on the next opponent. But as for a loss aspect, it's just something you take on with the role. There's not much else you can say. You take all the blame. And that's just something you got to live with. But as I said, you got to have a short mindset and get ready for next week, whoever your opponent is.
And it should mention it's not always fair. I mean, as far as the quarterback goes, or the goalkeeper, the goaltender, that they get all the credit or they get all the blame. But I know sometimes that comes with the territory. For you growing up watching, whether it be college football, NFL football, was there a quarterback that you looked up to and you kind of emulated your game after?
I would say probably Peyton Manning. I was always a fan of him on the field and off the field. I've always kind of more been a traditional pocket passer. I can get out of the pocket and whatnot if I need to, but as I said, he has a great off the field mindset, and he's always been a leader. There's never really been any bad things about his personality in that aspect, and that's something that I've definitely tried to mirror.
In high school, you played at Woodstock in Illinois, and I mean, you talk about passing yards and rushing yards. You had it all with 4,685 passing yards, 47 touchdowns, ran for over 706, including 13 touchdowns. What are your memories going back to your prep football days?
Well, it was definitely lots of fun memories, but also hard memories at the same time. I know that was definitely very difficult for me to step away from that high school. It was lots of fun, and just it's totally a different game because like all college coaches say, at your high school you were the star at the high school, but everyone comes together, everyone's a star. So it was definitely something to kind of grasp when I came in here as a freshman. But there's definitely tons of great memories at Woodstock.
And you speak of your first year then at Concordia, coming back in 2021, got the opportunity to play on the field 3 times. At least your first game action came in 2021, and one of your best performances came against Aurora with 352 yards and 4 touchdowns. What do you remember about that first season getting onto the field? But as you mentioned, what was also maybe the biggest challenge from what you were accustomed to?
Well, it was definitely an experience. I mean, I had 2 games up before that game, but kind of getting out there, it was almost surreal. Like they were kind of have been the giant in the NAC. So it was, I kind of had a chip on my shoulder going into that game. I got nothing to lose. I was the 3rd string quarterback at the time, so I kind of just went in. I just had as much fun as I could, and I knew I had guys that I could trust. It was definitely something. It was difficult, as I said, because they were like the giants in the NAC. So that kind of had its challenges, and we were very injured as a team at that time. So it was kind of, you had to rally the troops and get everyone together and let them know, like, hey, we can do this. Like, even though they're the top team, there's always underdog stories.
And this past season, you got the opportunity to play in 8 games. How did you approach the offseason knowing that most likely you would be the starting quarterback? Was there a different, I guess, approach to preparation this past offseason than maybe in years past?
I don't necessarily think it was a different preparation. I've kind of did all my same things. I have personal quarterback training as well as other things, lifting and whatnot, that Coach Siekman does for us. I think one of the biggest things was definitely film study. That was something that I did a lot more of because I honestly, I had to know more now because I figured I was going into that starting position, and just being able to make sure that I was mentally ready, mentally prepared, because then I don't have an excuse, or my teammates don't have an excuse, because I'm doing the same things that they should be doing.
And obviously, in your role, you got to know the playbook, almost like the back of your hand.
Yeah.
Is that challenging, just memorizing the various plays, or has it gotten to the point where over the years it's kind of repetitive?
I would say for about 75% of the playbook, it is repetitive because we've been doing the same things and our foundation of the offense is the same. But there has been, new wrinkles, new plays that we've been putting in, which it kind of brings me back to freshman year. I have to remember everything and remember the reads and all that's associated with the play. But for the most part, it is pretty repetitive.
Obviously, with more games to come, to date, what are some of your top highlights or performances from your time here at Concordia?
I would say, like you said, that Aurora game that was super big. Even though we didn't come out with a win, it was another fun one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this year probably Concordia Chicago, because that was another shootout type game, and it was big because that felt like the first game where the offense was really dominant in the game. And then I would say our last game against Benedictine, even though it wasn't a super high-scoring game or anything, we have done something against them that we haven't done in a long
Sure.
time, which was shut them out as well as beat them. And I don't think we had done that in the last 4 years.
No, certainly a big high, and going into a bye week, a great feeling going into the bye week. And now the rest is over, and back to game action coming up on Saturday from Tomasini Stadium, where the Falcons have won 8 consecutive. They haven't lost since the new turf was installed, but Tomasini Stadium against St. Norbert at 1 o'clock. Get your thoughts on that matchup, a team you guys were able to beat last year in overtime.
It's definitely going to be a battle. I'm pretty sure they're the number 3 ranked defense in the NAC, which is just behind us. So you got to think that's the second best team that defense that we're going to be playing. So we definitely have our work cut out for that. We've already, as I said, we've started study on them, and it's going to be a lot more throughout the week that we prep for them. But I know everyone's morale is very high, and coming off the bye week, it was a perfect time for it, about right in the middle of the season. So I know everyone's ready to get after it.
Well, I know you guys take it one game at a time, but I guess looking big picture, for this team to win that conference championship, and certainly you guys are going to be in the conversation if you keep playing the way you're playing, what needs to happen in your opinion?
As you said, I think we need to keep going with that mindset that's our goal. That's always been our goal, but at the same time, also like you said, we're a one game at a time kind of team. I definitely think if we do keep playing this way, which is essentially, keeping that brotherhood, I got your back, that kind of mentality. I know the defense will do our thing. Our offense has to hold up their thing, and if that happens for the rest of the season, I think we definitely got a good shot.
Yeah, great season so far for a team that came in predicted 4th in the NAC preseason poll. To wrap it all up, and I ask all seniors this question. For you, what's your major here at Concordia? When your time at Concordia comes to a close, what do you hope to do with that major one day?
So I have a major in project management. Right now, it's still kind of in the works of where I want to use that. Right now it's kind of looking more in the accounting area.
Okay.
So kind of I brought the same mentality of the football team kind of being a leader and a manager, and so that was kind of why I chose that gateway into life, because it's something that I've always had like a personality for. But in the future, if this is a part of the question, I definitely would want to get back into football and football coaching. So I'll have a few classes for that as well next semester.
Are you on pace to graduate this year, next year? What's the
May
plan? Okay.
This year, or next year. But
Sure.
Yeah.
All the best to you. All the best to the football team. Thanks for your time. And again, you can see the football team at Tomasini Stadium. That's on Saturday at 1 o'clock versus St. Norbert. If the team looks to stay perfect in conference play. When we come back, our focus will shift to women's volleyball. They were just home this past weekend, got a couple of wins against MSOE and against Concordia Chicago, and we'll be joined by their sophomore libero, Abby Preyfrock.
If you could make one wish, any wish, what would it be? Would you wish for more money, a better career, fame? Or would you use your wish to make a difference in someone else's life? At Concordia University, we believe God intended us to live for something bigger than ourselves, to live boldly, faithfully. And with online programs at Concordia University, we're here to help you do that. Live uncommon.
Welcome back to Falcon Focus, presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin, our 5th episode here in season number 5. And our focus now shifting to women's volleyball, back in action tonight against, as of right now, the 7th-ranked Whitewater Warhawks. And we'll talk about that as we go along. But for the Falcon women's volleyball team, coming off a weekend here inside the John Book Fieldhouse, and being joined by defensive specialist and libero sophomore Abby Preyfrock. Must have been nice to be back here at home.
Yeah.
You guys have been on the road forever, and finally a 2-match homestand on Thursday and Saturday.
Yeah, it felt nice to be back. We've been gone a lot. Haven't had a lot of home games this year. They're kind of pushed towards the end, which is nice because the home games are towards the end of the season are one of our bigger games this year. So it's nice to be back at home playing with everyone here.
Yeah, for the Falcons right now with 12 victories and 9 defeats, 7-1 in conference play. When they played on Thursday here, the Dig Pink matchup against MSOE was the first time the team had been home for a home match on September the 20th. You guys have had tournaments in St. Paul, Minnesota. You've been to Bloomington, Illinois. You've been to Grand Rapids, Michigan. How has all the traveling been? How have you been able to handle all the traveling?
It was a lot at first, especially with nursing, getting back into school and figuring out the workload and everything. It was a lot, but it was quite easy after the first weekend, just figuring it out. The traveling, it's fun with the team, being on the bus, being in the hotels, just having fun all over. but the competition's great this year. Carly really set us up with good teams and getting us ready for conference a lot.
How about for you with a long bus ride? How do you go about spending that time?
Mostly try to get my homework done, get that out of the way, and then hanging out with the team. Sometimes naps. So a lot of us take naps on the bus, but mostly homework.
And you talked about this roster, okay? So you look from last year to this year, and obviously you lost a good senior class from last season, but it's still a lot of younger players that are getting more and more opportunities here in 2023. With all the travel, how close has this team gotten?
I mean, we were pretty close preseason. We do a lot of team bonding in the beginning of the year, so that gets us close. But on the bus and traveling, we just get to know each other a lot more, especially our freshmen or people who weren't necessarily traveling with us last year. It's just really fun, a great dynamic for the team, great energy on the bench, on the court, on the sidelines, off the court, in class. It's just, energy's great.
And you mentioned it, a couple of answers ago. When you look at, besides the travel, the competition's been phenomenal. A lot of who's who from in and around the area. How have those experiences helped this team get better?
I mean, playing great competition gets us better even if we lose. Like, we just have to go out there, ball out, have fun, get better individually and get better as a team working in our dynamic. And then we come back for conference, the more intense, more needed wins for that. And with the great competition outside of conference coming back into it, we're just more prepared for what we're expecting and more prepared for like hard-driven balls and blocks and good touches and just hustle plays.
Besides the competition on the court, besides the challenges of the travel and the constantly being on the road, part of the schedule, the other big challenge coming into the season was getting used to a brand new head coach. And obviously got the opportunity a little bit toward the end of last year, but Carly Whaling coming in. For you, essentially, your third coach in 3 years if you go back to your prep days.
Yeah.
So has that been a pretty smooth transition?
I mean, I'm pretty used to getting a new coach right off the bat and working with them, but it's been smooth with Carly. She's been very upfront with what she wants and how she's trying to have the team dynamic, so it's very easy with her, per se. I mean, in general, pretty easy, pretty smooth. Sometimes hard with knowing her skills, like what she's expecting, like, per se, like in games, but it's been pretty good overall. She's a great coach.
Well, mentioned this past week, the Falcons were back home here inside the John Book Fieldhouse, and you go back to Thursday, the Dig Pink matchup against MSOE, able to sweep the Raiders, the 19th consecutive Falcons win against MSOE. When you look back at that matchup on Thursday, obviously you guys had some nice runs in each of those three sets, but what do you feel was the big difference in that win?
I think the big difference was our offense. Our offense has been changing. Carly's been throwing in new hitters, putting people in new spots. Our offense really took over that game, just dominated over them. Blocking, too, was insane. But overall, I think our offense really carried most of that set, and our serving really did that a lot. We practiced that 24/7. So our serving was a really good game, too.
You bring up a good point because, again, this is a team that's had some injuries, and so it's been the next player up, and so far those players that have come up and stepped up have been able to fill those voids, and it's been a nice little, I guess I'll say smooth transition again in that reference, but you go from knocking off MSOE on Thursday, then Parents' Day, Alumni Day on Saturday, and knocking off Concordia Chicago for a 17th consecutive meeting. And much like last year, the Falcons win the opening set. Concordia Chicago takes set 2. Falcons come back and take sets 3 and 4. I guess, again, in your opinion, how are you guys able to bounce back to take sets 3 and 4 and, again, take control of that match?
I think it's all mental for us. Like, we just have to go in and know that we deserve the win. We deserve to work hard for this, and it's earned. And then most of our losses are just off small things, like little errors here and there, too many errors in a row. And it's just more so bouncing back and just knowing that we deserve that win. We've put the work in practice. We've put the work in previous sets. Like, we deserve that win. It's all mental for us.
I know in practice it seems like a lot of the focus, not necessarily on the opposition, but it's on you guys, correct? And so it's one of those where, like you said, there are a number of instances where you can point and go, hey, we beat ourselves this day. Nothing against the opposition, but we beat ourselves. We gave them way too many free points. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's exactly. And that's what Carly tells us constantly. We're our worst enemy sometimes. We kind of beat ourselves in situations. So it's more so what we can control on our side will get us the win rather than letting them dominate the game on the other side of the net.
Mentioned you're the team libero. Let me ask you this. This is a big debate when it comes to volleyball. Libero, How do you say it?
I say libero.
Thank you. I'm just happy.
I think it's libero.
That's the way it's going to be. She says it. That's the way we're going with it. For those that maybe aren't familiar with that position, what's the role of the libero?
Well, last year, my freshman year was my first time ever playing libero. I came in as an outside DS. But with that position, it's more so you kind of dominate on the defense side and you take a majority of the balls. And you kind of run the court vocally for the most part because you're seeing everything from behind the hitters. And, I mean, overall, it's it's a lot of work, but also our setters bust their butt off with whatever we dig, so it goes all throughout the court, is working hard.
How often you get the question, why do you wear a different color jersey than everybody else?
All the time, especially for people who don't really know the game well. Get asked that 24/7.
You mentioned last year as a freshman, taking over the libero role, and what a year you had, named NAC Freshman of the Year. First of all, getting that accolade, the Freshman of the Year in the entire conference, what did that mean to you?
I was not expecting it, really. I saw it and I was like, whoa, but it really kind of boosted my confidence coming in because coming in playing with all these seniors, I was kind of a little overwhelmed at first, but then getting that award at the end of the year, it really just kind of boosted my confidence and made me feel like I deserve to be here, and it's worth my work's being noticed on the court.
Outside of making that switch to libero, what was maybe the biggest change or challenge that you faced that you had to overcome going from your senior year in high school to the collegiate level?
I was just so used to hitting a lot, and I wasn't expected hitting much in this, but it's kind of different aspect. I have to kind of change my mindset about offense. I'm not earning the points. I'm working hard so my teammates can earn those points for me. So
last year you recorded 345 digs, a high of 21 on a couple of different occasions against Cohen, against Lakeland. Is there a match, is there a performance from your first year that stands out among the rest? Obviously, it probably gets all meshed together with everything that's going on this season, but is there a performance or a match that stand out?
Aurora, for our overall team, it's just a crazy game, crazy environment in that gym, and the team really stood out overall, and even personally, that was a great game.
That's always a fun one against Aurora, isn't it? It doesn't matter where the teams are, typically near the top of the conference standings, but it always seems like you guys bring the best out of each other.
Yeah, we're tied right now for first with Edgewood, too. Edgewood. So pretty exciting coming up. Aurora at home eventually towards the end of the season, so hopefully the gym gets packed for that one.
That's next time the Falcons will be home again, back on the road. Surprise, surprise, 4 straight on the road coming up, but next time here against Aurora on the 28th of October. Mention, making that change from high school to college. You went nearby to Grafton High School. It's out of curiosity, everyone has their own reasons why they come to Concordia. What brings them here? What led you ultimately to Concordia?
The nursing program here is great, and a lot of other schools don't really want nursing students playing volleyball because of clinical hours and just being so busy in school. So with coming here, Kevin and Janelle recruiting and getting me here, they were very open to telling me that I can do nursing here and they'll work with me to get me playing and get me in practice and everything. And Carly's been very understanding this year too with clinicals for everyone in other medical fields too.
Some will say, hey, I need to get far, far away from home. Did location factor at all for you?
Yeah, I looked at other schools, staying in Wisconsin mostly, but being here, my parents can come and watch, and I can stay here and watch my sister play volleyball because she's now a freshman in high school, so I can watch her. And I have a lot of friends and family around here that would just want to come and watch me constantly play.
So outside of volleyball growing up, did you play other sports?
I did a little bit of track, a little bit of softball, but volleyball kind of just grew with me. I coach now too, so it's kind of just continuing.
Did you ever think you'd coach?
Kind of, yes. My mom used to coach too,
Okay.
so it kind of is in the family, and my sister plays, so volleyball's constantly everywhere for me.
Now, outside of nursing, when did maybe the dream or the reality kick in that, hey, I'd like to play volleyball at the collegiate level?
My junior year of high school, I really started looking at playing volleyball in college and reaching out to coaches here and there. Just didn't know what level I wanted to play. So D3 was perfect with what I want to do with my life in the future.
Coming back to the here and now, we fast forward back now to your sophomore year. Do you like the improvements you've made to your game from one year to the next?
Yeah, Carly's really helped in spring season with focusing on individual skills and working on serve receive and defense for us DS liberos. So I've definitely seen improvement in my serve receive a lot from last year to this year.
And from a dig standpoint, already with a career best of 32, which came against Carroll on October the 7th. You almost have more digs and service aces than you did all of last year, and you'll surpass those numbers from last year in the next match or two. As a team, when you look at the way this team is playing, do you like where this team's at right now?
Yeah, I definitely think we can grow and learn from more opportunities, but we've definitely come a long way so far, and definitely like and love the team where we're at right now with both skills, energy, and just good cohesive energy with the team and everything.
And another great opportunity again tonight at 7 o'clock at Whitewater. Right now, the 7th-ranked Warhawks. The new rankings come out a little bit later on here this afternoon. But besides Whitewater, back to conference play on Thursday at Benedictine, Saturday at Dominican. Mentioned somewhere down the road, October 28th, back here inside the John Book Fieldhouse But your thoughts on the road ahead? You guys got some more great competition, but again, life back on the bus and on the road.
Yeah, I mean, tonight, Whitewater, we have a hashtag called Revenge Tour, so we're kind of going back out at Whitewater hoping to get the win against them. But even throughout the weekend, we're looking forward to hanging out on the bus rides, even going to Chicago or Illinois for Dominican too. So.
And mention, again, you can see the Falcons here inside the John Book Fieldhouse Saturday, October 28th. It's going to be senior day against Aurora at 12 noon. How about for you, when you look at this team, and you mentioned it, Edgewood's right there. They clipped you guys in a four-setter. You have Aurora, an opportunity to take the tiebreaker against the Spartans coming up in a couple of weeks. Obviously, you don't want to look past any upcoming opponent. But what does this team need to do to win that NAC championship once again and make some noise when the NAC tournament comes a calling?
I think it really goes down to just trusting each other and trusting how each other plays on the court. We need to really just understand that not everyone can play a perfect game. No one will ever play a perfect game. We just got to understand that people can execute. People can do this. Our offense has really stepped it up, like I said earlier, and we're just hoping that they can continue doing that.
I guess finally, with a couple of weeks left here in the regular season, do you have goals that you've set for yourself?
Yeah, I have goals to surpass all my stats from last year, but also just personal goals of just maintaining that school to volleyball ratio and everything. And then another goal would just be personally helping other teammates throughout anything, mental health, working on them on the court, just keeping them upbeat and happy.
And the beauty is you're going to surpass every one of those stats from last year. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
All the best to you and the team these next couple of weeks in preparation for the NAC tournament. Hopefully another regular season champion will be the Falcon route when all is said and done. But again, on the road for 4 straight, beginning tonight, non-conference at Whitewater. And then hope to see you here. A couple of home matchups still to come, October 28th, and then coming up on November 2nd with Aurora and St. Norbert. So that's Abby Prayfrock. We also thank Michael Perky, the quarterback of the football team, for joining us again. They'll be in action at Thomas Senior Stadium at Saturday, 1 o'clock versus St. Norbert. And we thank you for watching this edition of Falcon Focus, presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin.